لأي الأمور إليك أشكو ولما منها أضج وأبقي لأليم العذاب وشدتي أملت للبلاء ومدتي فلئن سيرتني للعقوبات مع أعدائك وجمعت بيني وبين أهل بلائك وفرقت بيني وبين أحبائك وأوليائك فهبني يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي وربي صبرت على عذابك فكيف أصبر على فراقك وهبني صبرت على حر نارك فكيف أصبر عن النظر إلى كرامتك أم كيف أسكن في النار ورجاء عفوك فبعزتك يا سيدي ومولاي أقسم صادقا لئن تركتني ناتكا لأذجن إليك بين أهلها ضجيج العاملين ولأصرخن إليك صراخ المستصرخين ولأبكين عليك بكاء الفاكدين ولأنادينك أين كنت يا ولي المؤمنين يا غاية أعمال العارفين يا غياث المستغيثين يا حبيب قلوب الصادقين ويا إله العالمين أفتراك سبحانك يا إلهي وبحمدك تسمع فيها صوت عبد مسلم سجن فيها بمخالفتي وضاق طعم عذابها بمعصيتي وهبس بين أطباقها بجرمه وجريرتي وهو يضج إليك ضجيج معمل لرحمتك ويناديك بلسان أهل توحيدك ويتوسل إليك بربوبيتك يا مولاي فكيف يبقى في العذاب وهو يرجو ما سلف من حلمك أم كيف تؤلمه النار وهو يعمل فضلك ورحمتك أم كيف يحرقه لهيبها وأنت تسمع صوته وترى مكانه أم كيف يشتمل عليه زفيرها وأنت تعلم ضعفه أم كيف يتقلقل بين أطباقها وأنت تعلم صدقه أم كيف تزجره زبانيتها وهو يناديك يا رب أم كيف يرجو فضلك في عتقه منها فتتركه فيها هيهات ما ذلك الظن بك ولا المعروف من فضلك ولا مشبه لما عاملت به الموحدين من برك وإحسانك فباليقين أقطع لولا ما حكمت به من تعذيب جاهديك وقضيت به من إخلاد معانديك لجعلت النار كلها بردا وسلاما وما كان لعهد فيها مقرا ولا مقاما لكنك تقدست أسماؤك أقسمت أن تملأها من الكافرين من الجنة والناس أجمعين وأن تخلد فيها المعاندين وأنت جل ثناؤك قلت مبتدئا وتتولت بالإنعام متكرما أفمن كان مؤمنا كمن كان فاسقا لا يستهون إلهي وسيدي فأسألك بالقدرة التي قدرتها وبالقضية التي هتمتها وحكمتها وغلبت من عليه أجريتها أن تهب لي في هذه الليلة وفي حازع الساعة كل جرم أجرمت وكل ذنب أذنبت وكل قبيح أسررت وكل جهل عملته كتمته أو أعلنت أخفيته أو أظهرت وكل سيئة أمرت بإثباتها الكرام الكاتبين الذين وكلتهم بحفظ ما يكون مني وجعلتهم شهودا علي مع جواره وكنت أنت الرقيب علي من ورائهم والشاهد لما خفي عنه وبرحمتك أغفيت وبفضلك سترت وأن توفر حظي من كل خير أنزلته أو إحسان فضلته أو بر نشرته أو رزق بسطته أو ذنب تغفره أو خطأ تستره يا ربي يا ربي يا رب يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي ومالك رقي يا من بيده ناصيتي يا عليما بضري ومسكنتي يا خبيرا بفقري وفاقتي يا ربي يا رب أسألك بحقك وقدسك وعظم صفاتك وأسمائك أن تجعل أوقات من الليل والنهار بذكرك مأمورا وبخدمتك موصولا وأعمالي عندك مقبولا حتى تكون أعمالي وأورادي كلها وردا واحدا وحالي في خدمتك سرمدا يا سيدي يا من إليه معولي يا من إليه شكوت أهوالي يا ربي يا رب قو على خدمتك جواره واشدد على العظيمة جوانه وهب لي الجد في خشيتك والدوام في الاتصال بخدمتك حتى أسرح إليك في ميادين السابقين وأسرع إليك في البارزين وأشتاق إلى قربك في المشتاقين وأدنو منك ذنو المخلصين وأخافك مخافة الموقنين وأجتمع في جوارك مع المؤمنين اللهم ومن أرادني بسوء فأرد ومن كادني فكيد واجعلني من أحسن عبيدك نسيبا عندك وأقربهم منزلة منك وأخسهم زلفة لديك فإنه لا ينال ذلك إلا بفضلك وجد لي بجودك وعتف علي بمجدك واحفظني برحمتك واجعل لساني بذكرك لهجا وقلبي بحبك متيما ومن علي بحسن إجابتك وأقلني أثرتي واغفر ذلتي فإنك قضيت على عبادك بإبادتك وأمرتهم بدعائك وضمنت لهم الإجابة فإليك يا ربي نصبت وجهي وإليك يا ربي مددت يدي فبعزتك استجب لي دعائي وبلغني منايا ولا تقطع من فضلك رجائي واكفني شر الجن والإنس من أعدائي يا سريع الرضا اغفر لمن لا يملك إلا الدعاء فإنك فعال لما تشاء يا من اسمه دواء وذكره شفاء وتاعته غنى ارحم من رأس ماله الرجاء وسلاهه البقاء يا صابغ النعام يا دافع النقام يا نور المستوحشين في الظلام يا عالما لا يعلم صل على محمد وآل محمد وافعل بما أنت أحلو وصلى الله على رسوله والأئمة الميامين من آله وسلم تسليما كثيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سورة المباركة الفاتحة.
Right, can we start with the salawat, please? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil faraja. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So we're going to look at Prophet Ibrahim. We started a little bit last week, or when I saw you last. And if you look at your sheets, now it took me a while to figure this out, maybe because I'm getting old. But it's 1, and then 2 goes down, and then 3 goes up, and then 4 goes down. Don't ask me why, okay? But that's the way it goes. So you don't go in a straight line. You have to become a bit younger and go up and down like a zigzag like that. Are you good? Okay, great. So, birth of Prophet Ibrahim. Now, we went through that. I'm just going to go over it again very quickly. Namrud really rules what today's Iraq. Okay? There are 4 kings that are known in the civilized world. 2 are good, 2 are not very good. You have Sulaiman and Dhul Qarnayn on one side, and then on the other side you have Namrud and you have Nebuchadnezzar. Now, they couldn't find an Arabic name for him. Okay? Namrud has his capital called Kutha, and Kutha is quite important. It's near today's Kufa. And he's the first king to mint gold and silver coins. Now, he became so wealthy that he thought, I am God. And even today, if you look at it, the wealthier somebody is, the more you will look up at them, regardless of whatever. It's human nature. Okay? So he thought he was God. He had an advisor. His advisor's name was Aazar. Aazar was an astrologist. Now, you find people who don't have faith will refer to astrologists, or they will refer to all these funky things. Okay, that's the way life goes. And he relied on Aazar a lot. So one day Aazar's studying all these stars, and he comes up and he says, there's a child who's going to take your kingdom over. And he's going to take over the whole empire, and he's going to rule over this place and bring a new religion. So the first thing he's asked by Namrud, is this child already been conceived? He said no. So he sends an order to separate all men from their wives, okay, which you've got over here. But he said, not in our house, because we can't have a child being born in our house. It's going to be against us. And Aazar, not with you as well. So Aazar has a brother called Tira. Tira and his wife conceived their child, who is known as Ibrahim, right? Now, Tira is Aazar's brother, and Sarah gives birth to Ibrahim on the 1st of Dhul Hijjah, but she smuggles him out of the city because she knows what's going to happen, and she leaves him in a cave. I talked about this last week. As far as I know, I feel that there are lots of ahadith. One said that he looked after himself. One says Sarah goes. But let's put it this way, that Sarah looked after him in this cave. She used to go and she used to come back, okay? Terah dies. It's a situation where women cannot live on their own or support themselves, not like you have today. And therefore, she does marry Aazar. So Sarah marries Aazar. Now, she brings Ibrahim back to the city when he's between 12 and 13. You see, Aazar softens himself when he sees this boy who looks like his brother. He doesn't want to. He wants to report to Namrud, get him killed. But he softens a little bit. And he says, you know what, let's go to the temple and we're going to thank God for his safe return. We've done all this. It's part of it's part of what we've talked about. But if you look at Surah Ash-Shu'ara, which is Surah number 26, you will find this quite a lot. And Prophet Ibrahim questions them about these gods that do not reply, that do not help, that anything. Because I'm going to finish this, I'm going to try and go a bit faster. But these are the ayat. وَاتْلُوا عَلَيْهِمْ نَبَأَ Ibrahim. If you look at Surah Ash-Shu'ara, you can look it up. Do you tell them the story of Ibrahim? إِذْ قَالَ لِأَبِيهِ, when he told his father, وَقَوْمِهِ, and his people, مَا تَعْبُدُونَ, what do you worship? Now I mentioned last week and I will repeat again. The economic stability of the whole of Kutha relied on these idols. That was their trade. They traded in idols. Like today, the whole banking system of the world relies on interest. If you took away the interest aspect of it, not many people would invest. And I'm not a faqih, I'm not going to go into your rules of interest and not interest. That's up to you to find out from your own maraji. But in essence, we rely on a very different thing than what the Prophet relied on. In the same way, these people relied on these idols. These idols brought them the money. قَالُوا نَعْبُدُ أَصْنَامًا, we actually, our obedience, we're connected to these idols. فَنَظُلَ لَهَا عَاكِفِينَ. And you know what? We're going to be their devotees. Not only because of the attachment through tradition, but also through the economic attachment they had. Okay, all right. So, Kala, هل يسمعونكم إذ تدعون? If you call them, do they listen to you? أو ينفعونكم أو يضرون, or do they cause you harm? قالوا بل وجدنا آباءنا كذلك يفعلون. And I talked about this last time as well. We only do it because our forefathers did it. It's tradition. This is how we do things, and this is how we'll continue to do things. We will not change. Okay. I'm not going to go into the community you and I belong to, but we're not very different either. We follow tradition because it was done a certain way. We follow the same way, and we're too scared to say anything. And then we find young people not coming, all the rest of it. How many of us know about the Quran purring and purring and purring? I have had enough calls to say that I don't know, what do they call it? They say I'm disrespecting the Quran by encouraging you to highlight it and put stickers on. Okay, so I'll leave it up to you. It's entirely up to you. Okay, وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ لِأَبِيهِ. And then Ibrahim says to his uncle Aazar, or rather his father Aazar, he's a stepfather, okay? So he's telling his stepfather Aazar, أَتَتَّخِذُ أَصْنَامًا إِلَهًا. Do you take these idols for gods? And he's asking his father these questions. إِنِّي أَرَاكَ وَقَوْمَكَ فِي ظَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ. Do you know what? I just think you're in error. How can you worship these things? And remember, there are incidents, you will find lots of ahadith which say that one day he goes, and do you know how they did istikharas? So they had the gods, and they put 3 bowls, yes, no, maybe, in front there, and then they would put, with those bowls, they would put some milk, and then they would go the next morning, and the bowl that didn't have milk was the istikhara. So they noticed that this animal came in, drank the milk, and that's how they relied on istikhara. One day he told them, but I saw an animal actually, use those idols as its toilet. Don't you realize what you're doing to your gods? They said, no, this is what they do. Aazar said, you know what? These are the true gods of Kutha. Ibrahim, I'll show you something that you actually believe in. So what Aazar did was one day he takes him to the temple, to the top, and you all know this story. We did this, okay? Surah number 6. Do you know what surah it is? Come on, quickly. An'am. Great. Okay. In An'am, you will see that Aazar tells him, look, that's our God, the star. Isn't it wonderful? But the star sets. He says, that's our God, the moon. But the moon sets. That's our God, the sun. And the sun sets. And remember, Ibrahim has got, you can see it here, how much sabr he has. فَلَمَّا جَنَّ عَلَيْهِ اللَّيْلُ رَأَى كَوْكَبًا. He saw this big star. قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي. فَلَمَّا أَفَلَ قَالَ لَا أُحِبُّ الْآفِلِينَ. I don't like anything that sets. Then he shows him the qamar and he says, قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي. Is this my Rabb? فلما أفل قال ليس لم يهدي ربي لم يكونن من القوم الضالين. And finally he says رأى الشمس, the sun بازغة, it's so shiny, it's rising, and he says هذا ربي, is this my Rabb? هذا أكبر, oh my goodness, it's really big. فلما أفلت, but when it set قال يا قوم إني بريء مما تشركون. So he's trying to show them in actual sense why they should not believe in what they did. And then he says إني وجهت وجهي للذين فطر السماوات والأرض حنيفا وما أنا من المشركين. I only believe, or I am upright, I am just, and I'm attached to the one who created the heavens and the earth. In other words, the one who created the stars and the sun and the moon and all the rest of it. Okay, all right, cool. Now, he doesn't stop because he's worried about his stepfather. Just as you and I, with our children and those we care for, they say we do tuck, 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 tuck. Have you prayed? Have you brushed your teeth? Have you done this? And they say, Mama, I'm now 45 and you want to tell me, have you brushed your teeth? But you want to know. You're just asking, have you prayed? And when they say, yes, I finished praying, say, really? And say, Mama, you look so shocked. I'm looking shocked because I didn't expect you to say that. So here, he's worried. And he says, إِذْ قَالَ لِأَبِيهِ يَا أَبَتِ لِمَا تَعْبُدُ مَا لَا يَسْمَعُ وَلَا يُبْصِرُ. Why do you worship something that doesn't hear or doesn't see? وَلَا يُغْنِي عَنْكَ شَيْئًا, and it doesn't benefit you at all. And he says, يَا أَبَتِ قَدْ جَاءَنِي مِنَ الْإِلْمِ. Believe that I have got knowledge. I understand. مَا لَمْ يَأْتِكَ فَاتَّبِعْنِي هَدِكَ صِرَاطًا سَوِيًّا. And follow me. I will guide you on the right path. I'm not sure. I'm going to give you an example of children. Children are very good at tech. Have you seen them? Even grandchildren. They just take your phone and they go, Mom, just like this. Tuk, 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 tuk. Have you seen them? I had my 8-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old granddaughter. It takes her 2 minutes. And she can work that television. It takes me hours. I got to go through the instruction booklet, right? But you've got to understand that she has more knowledge over the things than you have. Age is not a factor. It really doesn't matter. I may know some things better than her, and she may know some things better than me. So all he's trying to tell his stepfather is, for this particular thing, I know better. I know. You've fed me. You've raised me. But there are some things that I know better of. Ya abati, la ta'budi shaitan. Don't follow that slinks away. Inna shaitana kana lirrahmani asiya. The shaitan is disobedient to the Rahman. In other words, he's telling his stepfather that this God I believe in is extremely compassionate. I mentioned this last week and I mention it again. Allah is compassionate. 70 times more compassionate than a mother. He forgives. He's not petty. He's not like us. He doesn't hold grudges. Ask and it'll be given. Ask for forgiveness and he will forgive. It's us who does all the funny things. Okay, Ya Abati, he says, Inni akhaf, I'm so scared. And yamassaka adabu min ar-Rahman, that this merciful God will punish you. It's just like me telling my siblings that, look, Mom's not going to be very happy if this is the way you're going to behave. Calm down. Mom likes all her children, but there are times when she gets a little bit angry as well, okay? فَتَكُونَ لِلشَّيْطَانِ وَلِيًّا. And you shouldn't be a friend of the shaitan. You shouldn't do what you're doing. So Aazar, now, remember, it's not just a matter of worship. He says, you're disrespecting me, and if I don't, in his head, he's thinking, if I don't make these idols, how am I going to feed you? Because my whole economic, everything that I do relies on this. If just now you had somebody who relied only on interest, please don't look at me like that, okay? So their lives relied on the interest they get from their investments, from their bank. And you told them, stop this because this is not good for you. They're going to tell you, thank you and goodbye. You to your religion and me to my religion. Exactly the same thing. So he throws him out. He says, Qala araghibun anta. Why do you hate an ilahati? Why are you being so nasty to my gods, Ya Ibrahim? These are the ones that have fed you. This is what has happened. La illam tantahi, if you don't stop, la arjumannaka wa hajurni maliya, I will stone you. La arjumannaka yani kachima Gujarati ma thapat maris. I will really hit you now. I will stone you. And then he says, wa hajurni maliya. You know what hijra is? Move away from me. Just move away from me. Give me some time out from you. I can't deal with you anymore. But look at Prophet Ibrahim. It's amazing. He says, Kala salamun alayk. Peace be upon you. The respect never goes. It doesn't matter if your parents shout at you and scream at you and whatever you do. You have a responsibility to show your respect. It doesn't matter. They can go crazy. He said, Salamun alayk. And look what he says. Sa'astaghfiru laka rabbi. I will ask for forgiveness for you from my Rabb. Innahu kana bi hafiya. Hafi is a beautiful word. He is so, so loving to me. He doesn't shout back. You know, it's not only parents. It could be anybody in the community. You get on your nerves. It doesn't matter. For you, it's salamun alayk. That's it. Just kindness. Okay, so what happens? He leaves his father's house. He goes away. He says peace upon you. But he's still in Kutha. And what he does is he talks to people. He gathers people around and he talks to them. He has little conversations with them, okay? Very few believe in him. Why? Because their whole economic, if I can say, it balanced. All their lives depended on making these idols. And you're telling them to stop doing that. So it's quite hard. But amongst them, there were his cousin, Sarah and Luth. Waraka is his mother's sister. Yani amasina dikrat hai. Okay, in Gujarati. So there are two children, Luth and Sarah. Luth and Sarah are brother and sister. His mother is also called Sarah, and sometimes we get confused with that. Okay, so what he does is when they grow up, he marries Sarah, his cousin. Now Sarah has been left a great deal of fortune from her father. Lots of land, lots of everything. And she gifts this to Ibrahim. She says, Ibrahim, use this to your own whatever, look after it, and he becomes the wealthiest man in Kutha. So he has land, he's got animals, he's got everything. This is Ibrahim in Kutha, right? But he doesn't stop saying what he does. But now people start respecting him. They ignore this little tension they have with him, but they start respecting him because of his money. Okay, all right. There's an annual festival in Kutha, so there's massive things going on, and everybody celebrates by going outside the city, like you have an annual picnic or whatever you want to call it. It's outside the city. Prophet Ibrahim says to Aazar, I'm not coming. I'm not feeling well. Now, lots of tafsir written, was he not feeling well? Maybe he was not feeling well in his heart and his head, but he wasn't feeling well, okay? So he stays behind. And he says, I got to do something. So he goes to the temple, he breaks all the idols, and he puts the axe on the head, like he puts it round the head of the biggest one, and he goes. Now look what they say. فَجَعَلَهُمْ جُذَاذًا إِلَّا كَبِيرًا. He broke all of them except the big one. لَهُمْ لَعَلَّهُمْ إِلَيْهِ يَرْجِعُونَ. And he knew what was going to happen when they returned to it. قالوا, they said, مَنْ فَعَلَ هَذَا يَا إِلَهَتِنَا. Who did this to our gods? إِنَّهُ لَمِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ is definitely unjust. Can you imagine if somebody did that? Okay. قالوا, so somebody said, سمعنا, we've heard Fatan, a young man, يذكرهم يقال له Ibrahim, and we hear a youth called Ibrahim. We know he doesn't like these at all. Okay. قالوا فأتوا به, call him. على أعين الناس, so that he's in front of the people, eyes of people, لعلهم يشهدون, so they may see him. And then they brought him in front of everyone and they said, قالوا أنت فعلت هذا يا إلهتنا يا إبراهيم. This is what did you do this to our gods, O Ibrahim? So he says, قال بل فعله كبيرهم هذا فاسألوهم إن كانوا ينطقون. You know what? Somebody's definitely done it. He didn't lie. Okay? He didn't lie. Somebody's done it. Why don't you ask the big one? He's got the axe around his neck. Why don't you ask him what happened? No CCTVs at that time, okay? Nothing, okay. فَرَجُوا إِلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ, they turn to themselves. فَقَالُوا, and they're talking to themselves. إِنَّكُمْ أَنْتُمُ الظَّالِمُونَ. They're thinking, you know what? This is not right. And they looked down. ثُمَّ نُكِسُوا عَلَىٰ رُؤُوسِهِمْ. They actually understood what Ibrahim was trying to say. لَقَدْ أَلِمْتَ مَا هَؤُلَاءِ يَنْطِقُونَ. And they said, you know, Ibrahim, you know these idols don't speak. They rely on us. They can't speak. Now, the priests are standing there. Remember, the priests get their income from these people. It's all about money at the end of the day, right? I don't know whether you've watched an Indian movie, or I forget you don't watch Indian movies. Maybe you might want to watch OMG. Have you watched it? No. All right, it's an Indian movie called OMG, where this particular person takes God to court. Have you watched it? Good. Okay, watch it. And then you'll understand what this is about, okay? Ignore the songs or listen to them. It's okay. It's up to you, okay? All right. So now, I know you don't do that. You're not naughty. I get it. Okay, now, the priests are really worried because their income is going. Their income relies on these gods. So look what they say. Kalu harrikuhu, let's burn him until there's nothing left in him. Why? They say the answer themselves. Wansuru alihatakum, so that you may help your gods. That statement in itself tells you that my God is helpless and that he needs the help of these people. Can you see the statement they made? And they said, in kuntum fa'ilin, if you want to do anything, that's what you should do. Have you ever riled a crowd? It's quite easy. Just start to say one slogan. Have you been to a football match? You have or you haven't? Oh, go on. You have to go to football matches. Try and be the opposite side's fan and stand in this in the section where you're the opposite side. Even wear blue when they're all wearing yellow. See what happens to you. You won't do that, will you? You'll hide the blue scarf. Yeah, okay, I know that too. Okay, because I go to Watford sometimes. So here you got to understand that they are riling the crowd. They're singing football songs, right? Okay. So now what happens? The priests realize we've got our way. They go to Namrud, and Namrud thinks, great, this is the way to get rid of Ibrahim. I've got all the people on my side. He wants to get rid of all our economic stability, and that's it. So what he does is, he says, okay, let's build a tower with lots of fire in it, so Ibrahim is burnt to cinders. So they put a fire pit, they construct it. The fire pit is like a small, we are told, it's like a small fort. And I told you this story, I'll repeat it again. There's a tiny little lizard. And this tiny little lizard takes water from a puddle and puts it in the fire. And all the other animals laugh at it and say, one tiny thing. I mean, what are you going to do? And he said, at least I can tell Allah I did my best. 90% of the time, we say, ek jananus farak parse, but it doesn't make a difference. Just a little voice, it makes a little bit of difference. So all the Kutha, people of Kutha are gathered. He's placed in a catapult because they can't do anything without a catapult. And this is a dua he reads with the salawat. Please, I will send this dua on the group, so you have it. Allahumma inni as'aluka bi anna ashhadu annaka anta Allahu la ilaha illa ant. I bear witness that there is no God but you. Al-ahadu samad, alladhi lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. And then he says, bihaqi Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. This dua is supposed to be, inverted brackets, one that answers everything. Okay? Because it has the names of Allah, which are Ahad and Samad. We are told when he's in the catapult, Jibreel comes, says, do you want any help? He says, that's not happening. I only need help from Allah. And I told you about this, we talked about this, that Jibreel gives him that little vial that has a tunic. Maybe it was a fireproof tunic. I don't know, because it lasted through the fire. And a ring, and I've put this on your WhatsApp group. It had 6 engravings on it. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, wa ufawwidhu amri ilallah, wa ma tawfiqi illa billah, and hasbi Allah. And ma tawfiqi illa billah, if I'm not mistaken, it's 1188. But all of these are from the Quran. I suggest you write them down. I suggest you put them on your musalla and recite them they're tiny. They're 6 statements. If they can save him from the fire, they can save you and me from the fire as well. Okay? You don't have to engrave it on a ring, because we change rings like nobody's business, but entirely up to us. Okay? So there's this tunic and this ring. He puts it on. And look what Allah tells the fire, which you recite when somebody's got the temperature. Kulna ya naru kuni bardan wa salaman ala Ibrahim. It's an amazing statement. We're told anytime somebody's got a temperature, dawa and dua. Don't forget the Calpol, okay? And don't forget the paracetamol. But also, ya naru kuni bardan wa salaman ala Ibrahim, okay? All right. So now this fire, they can see fire. And they're thinking, khalas, gone. This man is gone. And 3 days later, Namrud and his advisors as such, or his priests, climb the tower, and they look down, and Ibrahim is sitting there in a beautiful garden inside the fire. And Namrud says, how close must Ibrahim be to his God? One of the priests, this is a hadith, Biharul Anwar, one of the priests says that it was me. I made the fire cold for him. Just as he said that, a spark from the fire comes, catches of his clothes, and he burns. So don't say statements that you didn't do, okay? All right. So Namrud tells the gods, Ahaya, bring him out. Let's see what he has to say. So he says, who is your Rabb? And you will find this in Surah Al-Baqarah. We did this. I'm just going to go very quickly over it. He says, my Rabb is he who gives life and brings death. So Namrud said, I can do that as well. And he says, how can you do that? So he brings 2 prisoners, kills one, and leaves the other one. He says, I can do that. So Ibrahim tells him, my Rabb brings the sun from the east. Why don't you bring it from the west? And he has no answer to that as well. Okay. So you have the whole ayah there. I won't go into it, but you can look it up. We're going to send you this PowerPoint as a PDF anyway. He's really angry. He can't do much now. So he exiles Prophet Ibrahim and those who are with him. And so you can see Prophet Ibrahim, his wife Sarah, Sarah's brother Luth, and a few of the people that are with him, they leave Kutha. And he leaves with a dua. He says, Rabbana alayka tawakkalna. When you are in a situation where you don't know where to go, where you don't know what direction to take, it's a beautiful dua. Rabbana alayka tawakkalna wa ilayka anabna wa ilayka al-masir. There are times in life when you don't know what to do. Even istikharas don't make sense because you don't know what to do. So this is a dua. Highlight it, underline it, do what you want to do, see what you find it. رَبَّنَا لَا تَجْعَلْنَا فِتْنَةً. Don't make us a trial لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا وَاغْفِرْ لَنَا رَبَّنَا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْعَزِيزُ الْحَكِيمُ. I love this dua. It's just something else. So now divinity, Allah tells him, go to Levant. Levant is modern day Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Palestine, Israel, that whole section there, plus parts of Turkey. That's called the Levant, okay? And you can see Allah says, وَنَجَّيْنَاهُ وَلُوطًا إِلَى الْأَرْضِ. We saved them. We saved him and Luth in the earth. بَارَكْنَا فِيهَا الْعَالَمِينَ. And we send them to a land which we have blessed. This is known basically as the Middle East, which is really, really blessed, okay? Now his travels. So on his way to the Levant, let's see what happens, okay? First of all, I forgot something when I came. I was just looking at my notes, and I thought, better tell you this one. When Sarah gets married to Ibrahim, some people also say her name might be Ruqayya. Her mahar, the condition she had, was that Ibrahim would never refuse any request she made. Have you ever thought of that? Too late. Those of you who are not married, that's the mahar she said. You will not refuse anything that is halal. Okay, if I tell you to go kill someone, yeah, you can say no. But if I tell you to wear a yellow shirt for 365 days, I'm afraid you will have to wear a yellow shirt for 365. Yeah, okay. So that was one of her conditions. Now, on the way to Levant, he knows that this place has got lots of people who are going to look. Sarah was pretty, okay? And he knows that there are people going to look at her. So he hid her. He hid her in a mehmil. You know those mehmil that you have? Okay, so he hid her in that mehmil. And they're stopped by a king called Arara. And Arara demands to look at everything. If you've been to an airport and they want to look through everything you have, in fact, these days they put you through that machine where they can actually strip you and look at you, right? Okay. You want to see what they can see? You don't. Anyway, you don't want to see it. No, you don't. So they can see absolutely everything. And that day, they used to look through things. When I used to live in East Africa, if you went to Moshi to Kenya, you stopped at a place called Namanga. Whether you liked it or not, they took out everything from your suitcase. Absolutely everything. So if you didn't pack properly, everybody near you could see. You only packed for people, okay? Anyway, so here we go. He sees Ibrahim's wife, Sarah, and he reaches out to her. Oh, my goodness, that's so pretty. His hand freezes. Before he could touch Sarah, his hand freezes. He can't get his hand back. He says, I'm really sorry, Ibrahim. Is this you? Did you do this to me? Is this your magic? He says, my Rabb, you can't go touching my wife. That doesn't work. So he says, look, I'm really, really sorry. And Ibrahim raises his hands and says, Ya Allah, make his hand better. If you've got joint pains, listen to this story. Ask Allah in the name of Ibrahim and Sarah and say, just like you mended the hand of Arara, mend mine. This is why the stories are here. Okay, anyway, okay. So now he's so happy. So he gifts a slave he has called Hajra to Sarah. See where Hajra comes from now? From Arara, which you didn't know, okay? So Hajra is given there. So now with Luth, Sarah, and Hajra, I don't know why it says Hajra, but it's Hajra, they settle in Hebron. Hebron is part of Palestine. It's the southwest bank side of, we hear about it a lot these days. So it's part of Palestine, okay? So they settle there. And there is a reason why he chooses this location. And he chooses it because it's a crossroad between the trade routes. So when people come and they rest, he's able to talk to them and tell them there is one God, there is accountability, and you need to have divine guidance. Okay, this is why he chooses it. Namrud dies. That's a gnat, by the way, when a bug enters his nose and goes into his brain. Now, when Zara was making the sheets, my grandson, he thought that was very cruel. Only when he found out what Namrud was like, he thought, oh my goodness, how can a bug enter your... But it can. So a king that felt he was God, that could control people, that killed people, needed one bug. Now, I don't have to remind you about COVID. It was a virus that you and I couldn't see. And yet it wouldn't allow us out of our houses. Even if you saw somebody on the road, you had to cross the road. You couldn't even come to the mosque. Oh, you've forgotten? Okay, all right, I haven't. Bad times. Okay, here we go. I talked about this last time before I finished. Prophet Ibrahim, the earth started to complain. It said, these men, I can see. The earth said it can see. So he's the first person who made undergarments. He's the first person who was taught to wear shoes. So when you change tomorrow, today, I don't know, whatever you're going to do, think of Prophet Ibrahim. When you put your shoes on, think of Prophet Ibrahim. My grandmother used to not let us wear heels because she would say, the earth will complain that you're hitting and knocking the earth, okay? All right, wear heels. I'm not saying no. I'm just telling you what my grandmother said. Don't write to me. Don't ask me for fatwa. I don't have fatwa. This is grandma. Okay, all right. Now, they're living in this place, Hebron. And he hears of trouble in the city. Now, when I say the city of Sodom, or it's actually Sodom or Sidam, or they're different names in Arabic, okay? But these are the names that I've picked for you. But it's near the Sea of Galilee. And he hears there's a lot of trouble. And the trouble was that the people, and we'll talk about Luth at some stage in our lives, and when we come to some ayat that come to it, maybe sometime, couple of 3-4 surahs later, we'll talk about him. But people used to abduct, the people of these places used to abduct caravans, take young men, and use them for sexual purposes. So basically, they were highway robbers who would abduct men, okay? So he sends Prophet Luth there. So you can imagine, he sent Luth to this place. He is called Khalilullah because of his trust in divinity. And Allah makes him a friend. If you in life, and I in life, look for a friend, we will look for a friend who is trustworthy, who can listen to our nonsense and then just keep the kernel and tell us off. That's what friends do. Friends don't put it on Koja News the next day. Sorry. Am I supposed to say that? Okay, that's what happens. All right. So you can see Allah says to him that he talks about Ibrahim and he says, look at Ibrahim. He was Hanif. وَاتَّخَذَ اللَّهُ إِبْرَاهِيمَ Khalila. It's so beautiful. If you can find a Khalil in life, don't let go of them. Okay. So Ibrahim one day feels really bad. There's a drought. There's no food. He doesn't know what to do. He says, I'm going to go to my friend and I'm going to ask my friend if I can borrow some grains, some flour, some wheat flour. So he goes to his friend and his friend is not home. He knows this is a friend, a Khalil who is able to help him. When you have a Khalil in life, they even give what they have to you. They won't keep it. Okay, so he goes to his friend. His friend's not home. He doesn't want to come to Sarah empty-handed. So he fills these bags with sand. So when he comes home and she sees the bags, she feels good that tomorrow I'm going to make roti because I've got some flour. The next morning she opens the bags and there's flour. And she says, Ibrahim, so much flour, let's distribute it. He just cannot believe it. 2 rakat sugar. Okay? So that's something for us to learn. On the 1st of Ramadan, Allah gives him all these books that are known as Suhuf Ibraheem. Now, I've put a few of the laws in here. I can put more laws for you, but I just thought these were quite interesting because most of them were based on personal hygiene. Trimming of hair, brushing of teeth, washing after visiting the toilet, ghusl, circumcision. There's a lot more, but all are based on personal hygiene. So Suhuf Ibraheem started off with personal hygiene. And it's really important. Okay, when the Prophet said cleanliness is half of faith, he's taken it from the books of Ibrahim. Okay, now Sarah gifts Hajra to Ibrahim. This is not 2025. This is going back years where you're secure in your relationship and you want to start a family. You want a family and you know you can't have children, so she gifts Hajra and she hopes that they would have a child. Either with Hajra or with her. She realizes time is going and she hasn't got any children, and that's what you want. And Allah does grant them a child. But He grants Ismaeel through Hajra. His dua is, Rabbi habli minas salihin. She doesn't realize how upsetting that would be. Sarah is extremely beautiful. He is so much in love with Sarah that he had an iPhone. Do you know that? You weren't the first person who had an iPhone. When we talk about him going to Makkah to drop Hajra, we are told in a hadith that when he looked at his hand, he could see Sarah. Even we're not that advanced yet. He could actually see Sarah and he could talk to her. Okay? So he had the first. Okay, let's not go there. Anyway, so Sarah's really upset. She didn't realize how upset she would be. She thought the child would be through her. She's so upset, she's struggling, that Allah tells Ibrahim, take Hajra away. I can't see a woman struggling and a woman so upset. So I want you to take her, and he takes her to Makkah, which is modern day Makkah, because Allah could not see Sarah upset. You cannot upset your daughters. You cannot upset your mamas. You cannot upset your aunts. You just cannot. It's wrong, full stop. That's how women belong, okay? Now she makes him promise that he would return immediately. Now you can imagine. Leaves Hajra, leaves a young son in Makkah with some food or water, and we'll talk about the dua in a minute. But as he's leaving, she says, Ibrahim, wait. You gonna leave me and your son here? And he tells her, the one who ordered me to do so will look after you. So she says, go. If he's asked me to be here, then you go away. That is why today in Hajj, you don't follow the footsteps of Ibrahim. You just look at them. Maqam Ibrahim, what do? You go as close as possible and you look, or you pray your 2 rakats, namaz. Whose footsteps do you follow? Hajra. You do sa'i because of Hajra. Okay. So his dua was, Rabbana inni askantu min dhurriyati biwadin ghayri zi zar'in. I have settled my offspring in a valley which is so unproductive. In the Baytik al-Muharram, Rabbana liyuqimus salah, my Rabb, I wish for them to establish salah, faj'al afidatan min nas, make people's hearts go towards them, warzuqhum min ath-thamarat, give them fruits, la'allahum yashkurun, so that they may be thankful. Now, one Muharram I talked about the 4 P's. There are 11 P's actually, but the 4 P's of Ibrahim are peace, prosperity, progeny, and prophet. And if you look at life, these are the 4 things we talk about. Here you can see he's talking about his progeny and prosperity, okay? So Hajra and Ismaeel are thirsty. Water finishes. She runs to the nearest mountain. She doesn't sit. She goes to Safa. You all know this. She sees the mirage of water on Marwa. She goes there. 7 times she runs. But every time she stops to see whether her child is okay. And suddenly she sees a spring of water near the feet of Ismaeel. And she, in her language, says, stop, you're going to drown him. So Zamzam is actually stop. And the water becomes a gentle spring. Now on the plains of Arafat, there is the tribe of Jurhum. They see birds circling Makkah. And they know when birds circle, there is water. So they come here and they say, please, can we settle down here? She says, of course you can. And they gift a sheep, one sheep from each family. So she becomes quite wealthy because she gets all these sheep, okay? Meanwhile, you know, it's like a movie. Go to the other side. Ibrahim is on the seafront. Do I have to finish? Oh, God. Ibrahim is on the seafront, and he sees this body of an animal. It's scavenged. It's like it's got, you know, it's scavenged by others. So he's having a conversation with Allah. He says, Allah, that thing there, you're going to bring back to life. And you know that conversation. I love this ayah of the Quran. It's 260. وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ رَبِّ أَرِنِي كَيْفَ تُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى. Show me how you will bring that back to life. And Allah says, قَالَ أَوَلَمْ تُؤْمِنْ. You mean you don't believe that I'm going to bring him back to life? And Allah says, قَالَ بَلَى. He says, قَالَ بَلَى وَلَكِنْ لِيَطْمَئِنَّ قَلْبِي. I just want to feel good inside. You know how people tell you they love you? Have you seen them? No? Oh, you haven't? Okay. So you say, but prove it, no? That's basically what he's saying. I want my heart to feel good. Don't just give me flowers and chocolates. Hello. That even I can go to the petrol station, pick some flowers up and some chocolates on Valentine's Day here for you, just because everybody else did on your birthday, you do the same. No. Prove that you love me. So she says, I want to see it. So Allah says, okay, fine. فَخُذْ أَرْبَعَةً مِنَ الطَّيْرِ. Take 4 birds. Pigeon, crow, rooster, peacock, and they represent different stuff, and we'll talk about it maybe next time. ثُمَّ جَعَلَ عَلَى كُلِّ جَبَلٍ مِّنْهُنَّ جُزْءًا. Cut them up, put different parts of them on the mountain. ثُمَّ ادْعُهُنَّ. Call them يَأْتِيَنَّكَ سَعْبًا وَاعْلَمْ أَنَّ اللَّهَ عَزِيزٌ حَكِيمٌ. And when you call them, you will see all the 4 birds come. You want a miracle to happen in your life? Know this ayah. You're looking at me. Seriously, learn. This is what Quran is for. Okay? Like you put those 4 birds and you call them, I have no idea how you're going to sort this problem of mine out, but can you sort it out? Because I want to know in my heart that, Ya Allah, you love me. You good? It's not going to work if you don't talk to him like that. You're going to learn 260. Okay. We will continue with this not next week, because next week is Ayyam Fatimiyya and I'm not here, the week after. Do you think a week's break is all right for you? Yes. Next Thursday is Ayyam Fatimiyya, is it not? Yes. Next Thursday is Ayyam Fatimiyya. That is why I'm going away. Sorry. So next Thursday there's no class, but the Thursday after we will finish Ibrahim and inshallah start Surah Al-Hajj. Meanwhile, on the WhatsApp group, I will put the du'as for you, so you will have them, and inshallah you will learn these ayat. Okay, can we end with the Surah Al-Fatiha? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladhina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Sadaqallahu al-Azim. So we've got a Quran City exhibition already in Mark in Toronto, and we're opening the Asma al-Husna one. So inshallah, maybe I'll put the stuffs on the group so you can have a look as well. Okay, inshallah, and learn through them. I think she's got some tabarruk for you, okay?